do it as better than others, because you can't take people's money. You know, you're going to be paid for, and so you must do it well. And he was right.
That was part of his value system. If you're going to do something, do it well and be number one. So he dies, and you take it over. You take over the leadership.
Yes, to be honest, I've been on the board. I've been on the board for a long time, the board of our company. You know, we have a company, and we market a lot of other wines, Mouton Cadet. We do many Amawas. I have a wine in Chile now. I have Opus One. I have the half of Opus One in California, which is a fabulous wine, etc., which was with the Mondavis now, etc. And so I had been involved in the wine business since the 80s, in fact. I would say yes, the 80s. So 88, when my father wasn't very well in the 80s, he started not doing very well. So I had to really, I stopped. You can't do two things well, I don't think. So I really had to stop the theater in the 80s.
When did you begin the exhibiting of the labels?
You see, long before my father passed away, say passed out or passed away?
Passed away.
Passed away. Long before. And the funny thing is, when in 81, I started that in 81. When I started, my father was amazed by this crazy. He thought it was a crazy idea, and I said, "But your idea was crazy when you put some art on your label. Why can't I have a crazy idea?" And so he was rather amused by that finally. But at the same time, he was totally pessimistic. I remember he would say, "But nobody's going to come to your exhibition. What do you think? They won't be interested in seeing what you were. Nobody, you won't have any success at all." He was totally pessimistic, which was really not making things very easy. But I had, funnily enough, it's linked with America. I was in Beverly Hills in the 80s, and some people in large houses in Beverly Hills had stuck off the labels of Mouton and made a poster of them, and put them not in their lavatory or in their bathroom, which I thought was, you know, already, but no, in their hall, in their dining room. So the idea came to me like that. I thought to myself, if these people do something so crazy as to stick off labels, which is only a reproduction of, you know, painting, wouldn't they be interested to see the real thing? That's how it came.
And you were right. And how many times? Yes. And you've been doing that how often?
Oh, you see, we were taken by CITES. CITES is a department of the Smithsonian in Washington. Smithsonian Institution of Traveling Exhibition Service, which traveled the exhibition around America. That's why I'm so linked with America. I'm so happy to be here. You see, for me it's very important. We went in many cities, Atlanta and Houston and Dallas and wherever.
Okay, tell me about, this is the 2004 bottle, and this is Prince Charles. Tell me about this.
Well, it was an interesting idea. You know, he's a watercolorist,
yes,
and he values very much. You know, he's very an arty person. He loves art.
Right, architect and art.
Yes, exactly. And I met him. Now his grandmother had been to Mouton in 1977. And the 1977 vintage doesn't bear any painting. It bears just the signature of Her Majesty the Queen Mother, who'd been to Mouton. So there was a sort of link there, the sort of tradition, if I may say. And the interesting thing was that simply the 2004 is the 100th anniversary of the Entente Cordiale. That's really the reason. And I'm sure Prince Charles would not have done it if it hadn't been for a very good reason. That is celebration. It's written on the label, by the way.
Yes.
To celebrate, he's written in his own...
To celebrate the 100th anniversary.
Voilà. Of the Entente Cordiale.
Yes.
That's right, Charles.
Yeah.
So that's the real reason why he decided that he would put his name on.
You're also going to have an auction.
Yes.
From your private cellar.
Yes, but it's a little piece of my private cellar.
Yeah, of course. Tiny.
Yeah.
How much?
There are a bit more. You have the catalogue there, so.
Oh yes. We do. Yes.
You have the catalogue. You're more knowledgeable than me.
Chateau Rothschild, treasures from the private cellar of Baroness Philippine. This is
exactly.
There it is, and you'll see the kinds of things that.
Yes, no, there are great wines that are going to be sold, but it's very small quantities. Let me put it that way. There is something which is very extraordinary, which is a Jeroboam of 1945. Of course, that's the mythical year for Mouton. 1945 is the year 12 bottles of 45 sold for, I don't even remember what price, in Los Angeles 2 months ago or something like that. I mean, the 45
and
is something...
what made it so great?
Because it's an extraordinary wine. Yeah. You see, there's never any... I don't think quality is... quality is the key word. And I think when it is such quality, it's not marketing. It's really quality. 45 is an amazing year. I mean, there were two journalists, English journalists, talking together about 1945 3 or 4 years ago at a dinner at home, and one was saying to the other, I'm not sure it's quite ready to drink. can you imagine?
The great years have been 61,
yes,
86,
82,
2000.
No, 86, you're absolutely right, well done.
2000.
82, 86, 2000, 2003.
They're saying that
Yes.
2005 is extraordinary.
Yes, it is. Yes, I think it's going to be very extraordinary. But personally, I don't like to make pronostics. Do you say pronostics?
Prognostications, yes.
Okay, that's a new word for me. I don't like to make that sort of thing with such young minds. I'm always rather terrified of journalists, not like you, journalists saying before the harvest has been done, you know, oh, it's going to be quite extraordinary. I mean, wait, a wine is a very special beverage. It's so different to the other beverages. That's what makes it sort of glory and value. It evaluates all the time. And some of the vintages that we're not even talking about now suddenly become extraordinary. Like, for instance, I will quote 87. If people are listening to us, wine people, they will say, what is she talking about? 87 is a very bad year. Well, tell them to try 87. It's delicious. It's becoming delicious. It's evaluating. That's what's so amusing with wine.
You have had to meet the challenge of the marketplace. You developed Mouton Cadet, is it? Mouton
Cadet?
To meet the sort of, meet the lower price level for wine, yes?
Yes, of course, yes. By the way, my father created Mouton Cadet, which was really rather extraordinary. My father had, you know, he was a sort of genius in a way. I mean, he's the first person, by the way, because this is something really deep, who said making wine is art. A great wine is art. So for him, it was normal to put art on his bottle. It was something very normal. And, of course, creating the Museum of Wine in Art, which is our museum, which I hope you'll visit one day when you come to France, because that is also extremely special. I mean, it's one of the most exciting, most remarkable private museums in France. I mean, and that is in Mouton. Everybody who visits the cellars visits the Museum of Wine Art. So he's had a sort of thing about that, always, my father.
But my point was, you've had to meet competition and a changing wine market. You have a vineyard in Chile.
Yes,
so
you
had a relationship with Robert Mondavi.
Of course, yes. A strong one.
It is said that France is losing its share of the wine market, that it used to have 30%, say, or more 10 years ago, and now it's about 15%. Is that a fair appraisal?
I don't quite agree with that point of view. I think one has to be very careful what the media say and what the real truth is. And I will be very blunt about this. I think in Bordeaux we make much too much bad wine. So you see, in a way, I'm agreeing with what you're saying. We are not good enough in selecting sometimes our wines, but we're talking of mediocre wines when I say that. I think the great wines of Bordeaux have a future. I don't think they have no problem. And
there will always be a demand for great wines from Bordeaux.
Absolutely. And if the Californians make just as good wines as Bordeaux, so much the better. I'm very happy if other people make good wine, because it means that we were right to do what we're doing. I mean, the Californian wines are fabulous now. They are wonderful. Of course, but the Californians have, okay, we have 200 years of making wine, but the Californians now have 80 or 90 years of making wine, which is a tradition, which is a long time. I mean, it's normal that they make great wines, and they do.
You have 3 children. Yes. 2 sons and a daughter.
Yes, right.
Now, it is said the 2 sons will take over.
Yes.
When will you hand it over to the sons?
Do I have to say today? No answer to that.
You're having a good time.
Yes, no, I mean, to be honest, I'm delighted of what they're doing. I'm delighted if they take more importance. I'm delighted that they like Mouton. Let me tell you one thing. I think what is important is the family business side. Family businesses are dying, and it's very important to make them live up and be able to pass, you know, I hope our rights, you know, are so high and so it's very difficult now in France. There are many properties that are being sold, very sadly, to big groups instead of remaining in the same family. So I'm very lucky to have my two sons, and I'm very happy that they are going to, you know, to be
Good
there.
for you. I want to just run through some of these labels before we leave. We showed the Brock. Next is Salvador Dali from 1958.
Where's Dali? Yes.
see it?
Oh, yes, he did the little sheep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Miro
Yes.
from 1969.
That's a beautiful one. That's beautiful, yes.
These are really terrific. Just give you a
Yes.
sense of what you can see.
Yes,
Sure.
because, Charlie, I hope you come and see the exhibition. I hope many people come and see this exhibition, because what you see is quite different. You see, it's not at all the same size.
Yes.
You see, the paintings in the exhibition are from... Braque did a very small painting, for instance. He did... But Motherwell did a thing like that.
okay.
And Andy Warhol did... They've done very
I'm going to
nice.
show them. Chagall, 1970.
Yeah, 1970, yes.
And here is Chagall, 1970. And here is the
Yes.
famous Picasso, 1973, a special label to celebrate the reclassification of Mouton to first growth,
Exactly.
Premier Cru, and
Premier Cru, well done.
and to commemorate Picasso's death.
Yes. Was the year his death.
The next one is the Picasso label in its exhibit glass case.
Oh, good.
There it is.
Ah, yes, and now it shows, because that is what the exhibition is done in these sort of butterfly cases, you know, quite thick. And so it means there's a common denominator, which was absolutely essential, considering the difference in size of all these paintings.
The next is the Andy Warhol, 1975. That's the Baron Philippe de Rothschild.
That's my father's
Now
portrait.
get this, this is interesting. The next one is John Huston from 1982. Great year.
Great year, and if I tell you all my tribulations with John Huston, I went to Puerto Vallarta to see him.
Yes.
That was, can I tell you the story?
Yes, please.
It was my father's 60th harvest at Mouton. And so my father was saying, what could we put on the label that somebody that could write to my friend or to Philippe for his 60th. I said, why not John Huston's a friend of yours? He was a friend of mine, his stepmother. And so my father says, oh, John will never do a painting for Mouton. He won't want that. I said, let me go and ask him. So I took my little suitcase and I went to Mexico and I went to John Huston and we became quite friendly. About 2 days. I spent 2 days looking at boxing matches. I knew nothing about boxing. Now I know more thanks to John. After 2 days, John said, darling, you've come for something. What have you come for? I know you've come to see me, but... And I said, but John, I've come because my father would like you to do a drawing for... Oh, your father will never take a drawing of mine for your... So there was one on one side, my father saying, John will never do it. And there was John saying, your father will never... So I had to put these two gurus, these two Buddhas together.
And there it is.
And there it is.
All right, next is Francis Bacon in 1990.
Yeah, that was wonderful also. Wonderful relationship with Francis Bacon. He was an extraordinary man.
And then the next one from 1993.
Balthus, that was a problem. I'm not sure you should show
The
that.
controversial nude girl label that inspired some recall protests in the United
what
States.
I was accused of, Mr. Rose?
were
I
you
was
accused
accused of doing kiddie porn.
Oh,
I don't think that was quite in my...
no, that was not your intent.
Not really, no.
Robert Wilson in 2001.
Ah, that's a great,
God
great
bless.
friend.
Yeah.
And he made a sort of portrait of me. It's not really... It's very, very glorified.
Next is Prince Charles, the one we talked about
Yes.
too. This is the bottle
Yes,
here
yes, of
to be
course.
unveiled this year.
Yes,
Commemorates the
yes.
centenary of the
He calls it
Dayton
Mediterranean
Cordial, but
pines.
He calls it what?
Mediterranean pines on the Cap d'Antibes.
It's great to have you on this program.
Thank
A
you.
pleasure.
Thank you.
And much success
having me.
this weekend with the exhibit and also the auction.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.